Hello, welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm Cody, and we have a hell of a guest on today's episode. We're doing a little bit of a guest spot here for my buddy Colt Arthur. Colt is a offensive analyst for the University of Miami, Ohio, the real University of Miami, in my opinion. Ohio, the real state of football. But that being said, Colt, welcome onto the show, man. It's good to have you.
I appreciate. Thank you, Cody, for having me on.
Yeah. So tough loss against Northwestern this past weekend. What goes into preparing for that type of game, that type of environment? Like, it's not a true, because they had the stadium that is essentially a temporary stadium. What was it like playing in that environment?
Yeah. No, it was really cool for the guys. For me, it was really cool pregame, just kind of being there by the lake and everything. Once you're in the game, obviously things are going so fast that you're really just kind of focusing on the game and what they're doing and what you're trying to do. And you kind of forget about the environment, all that kind of stuff. I personally was in the box, so I wasn't on the sidelines. So it was kind of a whole kind of different, unique perspective for me, for my first Division I game. So in terms of preparation, like for us, we had our fall camp, so we're just consistently trying to get better, trying to do our things, trying to run our plays and just execute at the highest level possible. And then about a week before, we obviously watched a ton of film, broke the film down and kind of figured out their tendencies, what kind of things that they like to run, and then just kind of pieced together a game plan that we thought might be, could utilize our plays against what they were trying to do. And I think for the most part, we did a good job. Execution wasn't great for the entire four quarters. And, we talked about as a team, like when you want to beat a Big Ten team, you've got to make some great plays. We made some good plays. We made plenty of good plays, but we didn't make a ton of great plays. And, when you only lose by 7, you get knocked out of field goal range for one drive. We have 2 drives in the fourth quarter that end in turnovers. Like, it was only a 7-point game. So those little things mattered a ton. But again, to walk away with just a one possession loss against a Big Ten team that, like you said, won a bowl game last year, they're going to win a lot of games this year. It's a really good team and, we gave a good effort, but, for us, that's not enough. But move on. We got Cincinnati coming up. Like, we can learn a lot from it and then, hopefully be a better team next week.
So your title officially is Offensive Analyst. What do you do each and every week? Because I feel like that title could mean a lot of different things depending on what program you're at. So being in the MAC, which is about as pure as college football as it absolutely gets, what does an offensive analyst do both like in your game prep from week to week, but also on game day?
Yeah, for sure. So from game day perspective, I was up in the box. My job was just kind of charting the boundary coverage. So I'd watch the corner, I watched the safety, just write down what they were doing, trying to figure out what coverage they were in. And then I also kept track of our targets and carries, right? So who's touching the football for our team. And then again, really just doing the side work so our offensive coordinator can kind of like quickly glance over and kind of get a quick rundown of what we're calling, how things are going and that kind of stuff. Before the game, I work with the tight ends. So that's what, I practice and stuff. I work with the tight ends. I do everything from throw the footballs, hold the bags, do whatever kind of the tight end coach needs me to do. I help with breakdowns in terms of just breaking down all the opponent film. And then, for me, the nice thing is I get to just kind of sit in those meetings and learn a bunch, right? And I kind of just do whatever job they need me to do. During camp, I tracked every single rep that our guys took, and it was something pretty simple for me, but it helps them out. So, really that analyst role is kind of whatever they need that role for you to be. For me, I got this job over the summer, so I'm still piecing together the offense. So there's certain things that they don't ask me to do yet. But that responsibility kind of gradually grows. So that's been a ton of fun. But I'd really just say it's a step below a GA in terms of doing similar stuff and, just breaking down film and really just doing whatever the full-time coaches, the coordinators and stuff need you to do.
Hey, love that. It's being good at your job, right? The old Belichick phrase, but
oh yeah.
For you, it sounds like it's a little bit of everything. We are both D3 guys. Shout out Trine University, the greatest D3 college this side of the Mississippi. But what is the biggest difference coming from a D3 program into a Division I program in a Division I locker room?
I would say probably the biggest difference is just the little details that we talk about as a staff. Coach Martin he's the smartest football coach I've ever been around. He's just a walking encyclopedia of football. So just like the intricacies of the sport that really get broken down. But at the end of the day, coaching the players, that's very similar. I will say our practices are very efficient and fast compared to Division III. Like I remember my first practice for camp, I was shell shocked. I walked off the field like, what did I just do? But you get accustomed to it after about a week, but like just the speed of it, and just kind of the in-depthness of the way that we do things. Everybody spends a lot of time. When I was coaching Division III, I spent a lot of time at the office. We spend a little bit more time, but again, just kind of the efficiency of the way we work. And again, the support that we have too, kind of going back to my role, like we have 3 or 4 or 5 different students that help us with film breakdown too. When I was working at Trine, I had a list of stuff to break down. Here, it's a lot smaller, which sounds crazy, but we just have so much more help. So I'd say really the biggest difference has just been the amount of support that we have around the staff, and just kind of the speed in which that we kind of operate.
Have you been able to ask players to do different things now that you are to that next level where it's like, oh, these guys can hit a coverage spot that like you typically couldn't, or these guys can make a move, get to their spots quicker on offense. Whereas at the D3 level like that, don't get me wrong, some phenomenal athletes at the D3 level, but I feel like it's just so much stepped up. There are a lot of guys who are, I could have gone D1 if I didn't get hurt. How much of an actual step up is it in terms of the athletic ability of these guys?
It's quite a bit. I will say I think it's more of a step up in terms of just the you got to process way faster, and there's a lot. The playbook is a lot deeper. So I think that's really the biggest difference. Yes, we have slightly better athletes, but we also have a really good strength program, so that kind of goes hand in hand with that. But I think just kind of the mental side of the game is really the biggest one, and really for us, it's the expectation. Like we expect our players to make those plays every single time. I remember being in Division III, and you want to coach them hard, but like they're paying to go to school. They're not on scholarship, and there's certain stuff that some of these kids just can't do. To where if you're on the field for us, like you have to do every single job that we ask you to do. Because if you can't, then you're probably not going to play for us. So it's a little bit more of just we expect them to do everything that we ask for them to do. Because I think as coaches we know we're not going to put them in a situation where it's impossible to make a play. But again, for us, it's like we have some really good athletes that don't play. Why? Just because right now they're still learning the playbook. They're still kind of constantly trying to, be in the right position and do the right things. And, I will say the one thing is, when we have passing concepts, like you might have 5 different routes in one concept, right? Just based off of coverage. So, you might be running straight down the field. You might be bending across this hash. You might be stopping. Like there's a bunch of different things that, you're very not used to at the Division III level. It's a lot of times, hey, you have this route, you line up here, just go. There's a lot more thinking involved at this level for sure.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's talk Miami of Ohio this season, the scope of what kind of the MAC is. Your AD did y'all no favors in terms of not that he did y'all no favors, but he put y'all up to the test. 3 straight games against Power 5 opponents to start the year. You had a game at a Big Ten school in Northwestern that won a bowl game last year, and y'all kept it within a touchdown. I came away from that game pretty positive, and we talked about that, but now you get to play my Cincinnati, Battle of the Bricks at home. That should be a phenomenal game here in a couple weeks. And then you got to go to South Bend and play Notre Dame. Should be a phenomenal, phenomenal game there. Super excited for that. But how do you come into a season knowing that, hey, 3 of the best teams that you were going to play, you're going to have to play right at the beginning of the season? You're going to have to come in firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. The biggest thing for us is managing the expectations of our players. Like, yes, we expect to win all of these games. We expected to win Northwestern. We expect to win Cincinnati coming up. But we do understand these are our toughest games. We know that once we hit the MAC season, that we're a very good MAC team. We might be the best MAC team, and we know that. So a lot of it is keeping our guys healthy, keeping our guys' mentals in terms of just understanding, like, we're down because we lost against Northwestern, but that's got nothing to do with the MAC season coming up. We've got a rivalry game against Cincinnati. We want to win that as bad as ever, but it's not going to affect MAC play. So kind of understanding just the expectations of we have in terms of like we have pre-MAC play and then we have MAC play. Those 4 games, we can easily go 0-4, but we can win 8 straight and we could be in the MAC championship and get rings again. So I think for us, it's just like these are just opportunities to get better. Northwestern was a great example. Cincinnati is a great example, right? Completely different team than Northwestern, a little bit more athletic. So there's just going to be some, we're going to be pushing some different ways. It's going to make us better as a team. Again, we have 2 more weeks to kind of keep getting better. And again, we're fighting to keep the Liberty Bell. We're 60-60 all time against them. Like, we want to keep that thing here. We don't play them the year after, but we will play them in 2026. So that rivalry is kind of like stopping a little bit, just with their move to the Big 12. And then after that, we play Notre Dame, which, I personally think Notre Dame was a little bit underranked. I thought they were better than 7 to start the year. I mean, they've got some really good players, especially on defense, first round guys. So for us, like, that'll be a really big challenge, but it would be really cool for our kids too. Like, not everybody gets to go play at Notre Dame. Not everybody gets to go experience that. And, that's why you play football, right? I mean, they're beatable. Are they a great team? Absolutely. But, we're going to put a game plan together. We're going to practice our tails off. And, I remember watching Marshall beat them not too long ago, right? Nobody thought they were going to win that game. So for us, like, we're just keeping a good mindset and taking everything in stride and just enjoying the experience that we're all getting.
Yeah, I remember that Marshall game. I was at that game, and the hangover after that one was especially brutal. It's always worse when you lose.
Sorry to bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up. But.
Hey, it's absolutely a fair point. But as a coaching staff, how does the energy feel right now amongst the staff headed into a rivalry game? Does it mean, like, can you? I know you're 2 weeks out, right, and you're currently in the middle of a bye week, but how can you feel the energy start to pick up? It's like, hey, it's rivalry week. Like, we get to do something a little special.
I would say maybe a little bit, but I will say it's a little bit different because the same energy was last week, because last week was week 1. So for us, like, there's a ton of energy last week leading into our first game. Because again, we talked about, like, you prepared 9 months to go play a week 1 game. It sucks when you lose that first game. But again, for us, like, I could see if we played somebody else that maybe the energy is slightly lower. But we know we got Cincinnati coming to town, and we haven't had Cincinnati here in Oxford, here at Jaeger, since like 2017. So we anticipated being one of the biggest crowds we've ever had. So we're really looking forward to that environment. We're really looking forward to playing that team. Again, we beat them last year for the first time in 17 years. So we know, just like Northwestern, they're going to come in like not overlooking us, right? Because last year they know that we can sting them. So energy is really high. And the biggest thing for us is we've moved on. We had our Sunday, talked about Northwestern, talked about our good, the good stuff, the bad stuff. But we have, like, officially moved on. We're prepared for Cincinnati, and no stone left unturned. You know what I'm saying? Just in terms of, like, watching all the film and anything and everything that we think we can do to win, like, we're going to try to do that. So,
as an offensive guy, how tough? Because you did defense at Trine, and then now you move over to the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
How tough is it going against a defense in practice that they were top 5 in points allowed per game last season in all of FBS college football, not just the MAC? They were top 5 in all of college football. The 4 teams above them are all Big Ten schools in Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Iowa. That's the caliber of defense you go against in practice every day. What is it like knowing that the defense you go against in practice is arguably some of the best defense you will play all season?
Oh, it's awesome for us. It's awesome. For us, because again, like, it's a great measuring stick for the offense. Like, we know that if we can move the ball on them, and if we can have, like, sustained drives, and if we can have good periods against our defense, then we can have success against a lot of defenses. So we have a ton of playmakers on that side of the ball. That's a wonderful coaching staff over there. They're so smart. And again, like, our defense coordinator, Coach Breeken, he was an offensive guy too. So one of the things I've learned here is we love coaches that have coached both sides of the ball. Because now what they're trying to do and how they're trying to combat you, instead of just knowing kind of one side. So for us on offense, it's awesome. Playing against some really high-level players, really smart players, players like Matt Salopek, who have been here for 4 or 5 years, who are going to be setting school records, like, just every single week, just moving himself up the tackles, leader, preseason All-Americans. So it's awesome for us, again, that benchmark. Like, we know if we can move the ball on our defense, if we can execute our game plan against them in camp, then we're going to be in a really good shape when it comes to the season, which, again, going back to week 1, we liked where we were. The execution wasn't there, but I think there's a little bit of rust going on there. Brett Gabbert hadn't played since middle of last season, so there's a little bit of that too. Northwestern had a really good defensive line. So again, for us, like, we talk about we want to get better every single week. That's going to be our big thing. Now that we're in season, we're going against scouts. So they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing. So we're done doing the good on good for the most part. But it was a really, really positive thing for camp going against a defense that was that good.
So let's talk about the MAC expectations a little bit. You come into the year, you are the coach's poll favorite to win the MAC, and a lot of it has to do with you are returning a lot of studs on this roster on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. what goes into trying to stay on top of a conference that is, I think the MAC is one of the most competitive conferences top to bottom. It seems like each and every, it's almost very similar to the NFL, whereas like any team in the MAC any given year seems like could win it all. How do you prepare for conference play in a conference that every team is good and every team is going to compete with you week in and week out?
No, absolutely. So, does preseason polls don't mean anything. We understand why we were probably, number one in terms of what we did last year and the guys we brought back. But every year's a new year. You talked about that. And now it's a new year. And the MAC is just, the margins are so thin in the MAC in terms of just like every week you're going to be in a dogfight. It doesn't matter if you're playing against, people who think they might be top tier of the MAC or teams that might be, lower tier of the MAC, whatever, to people's expectations. Like you're in a dogfight. You're playing Tuesday night road games at Western Michigan. You're playing Wednesday night road games at Buffalo. Like they're hard environments, and so for us, like it's nice because you can just never let your foot off the gas. You never have just a week to breathe. For us, it's like we got another good opponent coming in. And again, for us, we talk about like our non-conference schedule is so difficult that by the time we hit MAC play, hopefully we've kind of like seen the best that we're going to see. And now we can kind of get back to our roots, executing our game plan and, hopefully, beating some teams that we think that we got a pretty good chance of doing. But again, nothing comes easy in the MAC ever. You look at those rankings, every single year people, go above and beyond what they're supposed to. And I feel like very rarely the preseason favorite ends up on top. So I know we got a target on our back. And everybody's going to be coming for us. So but we want that. That's something that we kind of relish in.
All right. Last discussion point here. I know that being a coach in college football, especially during the season, the amount of time that you guys put into what you do is next level. That being said, have you brought a national title to Miami of Ohio yet on NCAA 25?
I have not yet. I actually still need to get a PS5, Cody, to be honest with you. I don't even have the game. Now my roommate has it and I play on his PS5, but I have yet played a little bit. It's a really fun game. But that's like going to be the first thing that I do. Really, really enjoyable game. For me, I almost get footballed out. I do football kind of all day, every day. Don't get me wrong. If I had it, I'd probably go back home and play it until I went to bed. So, haven't done it yet, but, can't wait to kind of get back on there and keep playing.
Were the guys in the locker room pumped when that game came out? Like personally, if I was in a video game, I would be, my 99 or my overall would be 99 so quick. Like I would be playing all day if I like in my free time. Was the locker room excited when that game came out, seeing, the cool traditions and the collars and everything around this Miami of Ohio program?
I think so. I remember when it came out over the summer. And, they weren't super talkative about it, but like, I had a coach on staff, one of our GAs, like got the game and he did what you did. He's been winning national championships. He's been recruiting. And it was just kind of fun to kind of talk about like, hey, so-and-so, like, in the game, you're a lower rating than what I think you are in real life, all that kind of stuff. So you have those kind of conversations. You have the kids in the game that are trying to leave to go in the portal. And they're like, hey, man, why are you trying to go in the portal in the video game? So you have kind of those fun talking points with like those real life players. And I know that they go back home and play the game, so I know that they're kind of playing, that game and, using their character and all that kind of stuff. So they definitely liked it. It was definitely fun. And, be a very unique thing to kind of, play as yourself in a video game like that. I know a lot of our kids do, and they definitely were excited when it came out. So.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm looking forward to watching the Red Hawks all season long. It looks like you guys are coming up to my neck of the woods November 5th, a little Tuesday night action at Ball State. It would be a shame, Colt, if I had to be, in the stands for that one. I would hate if somehow you were able to get me tickets, but we'll hopefully I'll get to see you at some point this year, because this Miami of Ohio team, I'm excited for y'all. I think you guys are definitely going to have a shot at a MAC title. Once again, I think you guys are going to have a shot at a pretty damn good bowl game. And, hopefully the wins keep rolling. So, Colt, it was great to talk to you. We're looking forward to a hell of a season. Go Red Hawks, right?
Absolutely. Go Red Hawks. Thanks, Cody, for having me on, man.